I'm Filip, and today I'll talk about Charles Proxy. For those of you who don't know, Charles Proxy is a proxy and monitoring app for Windows, Mac, and Linux. And it's paid app. It costs $50, but there's also a free trial which you can use. Basically, it helps you debug your app and test it in different use cases. So the first feature is traffic monitoring, and it allows you to display all the traffic that's happening between the app and an API, and that can help you to verify that the app is sending the correct data. For example, that it's sending the correct authentication token, or if the user has to input some data in the app, that it's sending all of those data. The next feature is response and request editing. So if you want to, if you would like to test your app, how it handles different cases, let's say you're displaying some data from the API, and you would like to see how it displays different types of data, but you don't have control over the data that the API serves. You could edit the response yourself, and it helps you to debug your app. If, for example, you get a bug report, but you don't have the exact same data on the API, you could change it yourself manually. And the third feature is bandwidth throttling, so you can simulate slower network connections and see how your app behaves in those cases. The basic setup for Charles is, once you open it, you go to settings and set the proxy port. So for example, 8888, and enable SSL proxying. And you can also add hosts you want to monitor if you don't want to see all the traffic that's coming from your app. On your device, you go to Wi-Fi settings, and under advanced options, you set the proxy setting to manual. Set the host name to your computer's IP address, so the computer where you have Charles running, and set the same port as you set in the Charles settings. And the last thing you need to do is open this link in your browser on the phone and download and install the certificate. And one note about this, Android Nougat introduced some changes to installing certificates, so there are explanations on Stack Overflow about that. To enable HTTP monitoring, you go to recording settings and enable recording, and then you can include or exclude certain host names. So if you'd like to track only traffic that your app makes to your API, you can add the host name of your API. And if you don't add anything, it will show all the traffic your device makes. This is the first screen you see in Charles. That's an overview of the traffic, and it shows every API call as they happen, and you can select each one to see details about it. So, for example, headers or the request or response. To add a host which you want to monitor, you set the host name, the path, or query parameters, and Charles will only monitor those API calls which match those values. Breakpoints allow you to intercept API calls. So when the app makes a request and you set a breakpoint for it, it will intercept it, and it allows you to edit it before it reaches the server. Or if you set a breakpoint for a response, it will intercept it, and you can edit it before it reaches your app. You can also cancel the request. You can abort it to return an error, or execute to apply any changes and let the call through. Adding breakpoints is the same as adding host names you want to monitor. So, for example, I set a path /modules, and I check the response checkbox, and the breakpoint will only intercept that call. Once the API call is made and you get a response, you'll get an interface like this. So this is an editor, and it formats the JSON, for example, if that's the format of your data. And here you can edit whatever you want. And for example, if you wanted to edit headers, you could change from, let's say, HTTP status 200 to 400. And you can see how the app handles errors. Or you could, for example, change max age to see how your app caches the data. If you don't want to use breakpoints and have to edit a response each time it comes back from the API, you can use rewrite rules. So basically, you set a rule to change a response or request. You can choose where you want to change the body or headers or anything. And then you can use regex to find and match the data you want to replace, and then set the value you want to replace it with. And this will automatically replace the data as it comes from the API, and it changes it before it comes to your app. And that's basically it. Charles can really help you to debug your app and test different cases if you don't have access to the API or its data, and that's basically it. Any questions?
Just want to quickly just add something. If you don't turn on Charles and you have the proxy on your mobile phone enabled, network doesn't work, right?
Yeah, it won't work.
You have to open Charles.
Yeah.
And second thing is, do you know why when you in the application, when you select the proxy from the tabs, and if Mozilla Firefox is selected, Mozilla Firefox proxy,
Okay.
if it's selected and you don't turn on Charles, your Mozilla doesn't work on your computer, which hosts the Charles. Do you know why that?
Well, yeah, in Charles settings, you can just uncheck the Mozilla from recording the traffic.
Yeah, but okay, yeah.
And Charles won't make problems with it. That's it? Okay.